Hello, hi, and in case you couldn't hear me, how are you doing? I just rewatched The Truman Show and I want to talk about it. Truman Burbank seems to live the perfect life in the perfect town. He's got a loving wife, a good job, nice neighbors, a friend he can trust. The weather's perfect every day. It all seems too good to be true, and that's because it is. Truman is a reality star, but he has no idea that he is. He has been on The Truman Show since birth, and the world has been watching his every move. His hometown is a soundstage, and every person he's ever interacted with is an actor. He's the only real person making real choices in this reality show. Well, the real choices he can make as far as what the creator will let him do. Everything starts to fall apart one day when a studio light falls from the heavens. This light essentially shedding light on Truman's reality. He begins to experience abnormal things, piecing them together in his world, and we follow his journey as he attempts to break free from this world designed to keep him safe and controlled and predictable. Jim Carrey plays Truman Burbank. Even the name, True Man, Burbank, the set is located, or the studio is located in Hollywood. So even that is carefully constructed. It's one of Carrey's best performances. He had just come off of Liar Liar and The Cable Guy and moved into this dramatic leaning role perfectly. He's fragile. He's desperate for answers, but he's always full of sincerity. He reacts to his worldview unraveling perfectly. Ed Harris is the creator, Christoph, who is essentially the director of the show, and really playing God in Truman's life. He had to start this show in his 30s, based on his age or his apparent age. The Truman Show has been on for 30 years. This is the 30th year. So you can see how he would have that desire for control. He feels justified in controlling Truman's every move, keeping him prisoner for the masses to watch. His calm demeanor is often chilling in this. The other actors are portraying actors in a reality show, so there's not a ton of depth to them. But we have Laura Linney as Meryl, Truman's wife. She's a walking advertisement. She's pitching products and put together like a Stepford wife. Her smile is always plastered on her face. It's unnatural, unnerving. And her panic as Truman starts to search for truth is very fun to watch. Noah Emmerich plays Truman's best friend, Marlon. He's there to reel Truman in at all times. He's really a big emotional tie to Truman. They've known each other since they were 7, which means this is a child actor who's grown up. He reminds Truman how good he has it and that there's not really that much to look forward to on the outside world. It's a heartbreaking performance because essentially he's being genuine to this whole time and has developed a best friend type relationship, but it's all a lie. This movie was directed by Peter Weir, who is the man who got Russell Crowe on a boat in Master and Commander, and he got Ethan Hawke on top of a desk in Dead Poets Society. Crowe, Hawke, is there something there? But I think really the big connection is he took Robin Williams, who had traditionally been a comedic actor, and put him in a more dramatic role in Dead Poets Society. Did the same thing here with Jim Carrey. And then the cinematographer, Peter Bizu, I'm not sure if that's correct, but lent his eye to Mississippi Burning and Time Bandits. As a viewer, you are drawn into the world right away. You don't see traditional credits. You see Truman Burbank as himself and Christoph as the creator. There's a short snippet of Truman's wife and his best friend as the actors doing an interview bit. It can be disorienting on first watch, but just think of that as a small taste of what Truman is going through. The crown jewel of The Truman Show is really the world building. The town of Sea Haven, which is actually a real community called Seaside, Florida, but it serves as the biggest set in the world. It's shot sunny and bright with pastels, super clean lines. Anyone who's spent some time in the real world knows that this place is a little too good to be true. The camera angles are also super unique with all the cameras hidden throughout this town, really bringing you back to, oh, this is a reality show. This is a unique point of view. This camera's hidden. He doesn't know what's going on. I'm a voyeur as well as everyone else who's watching this and watching The Truman Show. The manipulation of all the extras, that scene where the frequency cuts and they all pause and freeze, is incredible. There's a lot of extras in this movie. And the show, their one goal is to keep Truman seated in this false reality. The manipulation of product placement throughout the show was expertly devised as well. The world is vast. It's a well-oiled machine, at least up to this point, at least up into the day where it starts unraveling in front of our own eyes. The concept is ahead of its time. Sure, The Real World on MTV had debuted and it had been out, but the monetization of everything we watch hadn't really reached a fever pitch like it is now. I feel like it continues to get worse and worse. I know this pulls inspiration from Plato's allegory, The Cave, and of course Orwell's 1984 with the Big Brother elements, leading to the reality show Big Brother. Also, The Matrix, similar concept of kind of tearing down a worldview, released the same year, 1999. Big props to the writer Andrew Niccol, who also wrote Gattaca, which I can't recommend enough. Great movie. For breathing life into this film and coming up with the concept. Everything is so surreal except for one man seeking truth, and you don't often see that in movies. Or it's not as explicit as this. The most important frame of this movie is obviously going to be Truman at the edge of the set, making his way up the stairs to the door to make his ultimate choice. Does he chase his dreams and also encounter the world and all its cruelties that it has? Or does he stick where it's safe and with what he's known? Truman knew something was up and he chased truth. He went through hell in that storm. He had a huge fear of water that the show instilled by having the dad actor die when he was 7 or 8 years old in a sea storm, just to keep him on this island. But he almost drowns himself to get to this point, and it's heartbreaking. He reaches the wall, crashes through. He's at the end of the world. He's feeling a wall that has the sky painted on it for the first time. It's the end of the world as he knows it. It's devastating, but also very triumphant at the same time. One theme of this film is how we construct our own reality and sometimes can become constrained by it. We all can get stuck in the day-to-day minutia of responsibilities and things we have to do and get complacent. We can find ourselves stuck. But real growth comes through pushing ourselves and trying new things. I believe it's innately human to have a desire to grow, to learn, explore. Truman's world that he is in tries to stifle that, but it's unsuccessful in putting out that fire. He lives in an ideal world, but he still can't deny that desire to grow and learn for something new and real. There's also an element of media manipulation, or at least that the information you take in can have an effect on you, can shape you as a person. From the first blip in Truman's world, the studio light falling, we get a newscaster dismissing it as, debris from a plane flying overhead. When Truman wants to travel, the next day we see someone with a paper that says Europe, who needs it? All these messages kind of consuming his thoughts. What you ruminate on develops your thought patterns, develops what ultimately becomes your actions. Fears, whether legitimate or falsely perceived, are something to be conquered. Christof weaponized Truman's fears for so long to keep him in line. But I think it's a great message that no matter how long you struggle with something, there is hope at the end of the day. If you work toward it, you can overcome it. The largest set on Earth, visible from space, serves as Truman's home, Sea Haven. It represents utopia. It is also the structures and expectations we're all born with and all have to work through in our lives. We all have family, work, relational expectations. And I think as you age, you feel more ownership over those expectations and you can kind of change the rules for yourself. And I think that's really what Truman is experiencing at 30, which is a monumental age to kind of come to grips with some of these expectations that people put on you your whole life. The catalyst that pushes Truman to want to leave in the first place initially is a love at first sight situation with an extra named Sylvia that they take off set. He thinks she's in Fiji, so he wants to go. He's picking up magazines and tearing out eyes, nose, lips, different elements of model pictures to try to reconstruct her face. He passionately cares about her, but I think more than anything, she represents truth that is out there. She has cracked the facade initially, and it eats away at Truman. Finding out about her equals finding out about the truth in his life situation, that it's not real. Then, of course, there's the ocean that represents Truman's fear and a barrier to growth, and the moon, which is this omnipresent force that's watching over Truman. But those are fairly straightforward. If there's anything I missed as far as themes or symbolism that really resonated with you, drop them in the comments. I love to hear about those things. Truman in the past has experienced doubt or questioned his reality, or even had extras sneak onto set and flat out tell him he's on a show. But that's always been explained away. He's never really grappled with the fact until I think the pivotal moment when the dad shows back up in his life. They briefly encounter each other, and then the dad is whisked away by people on a bus. His dad has been gone for 22 years, and this really makes Truman question everything, and he gets no solace from the lady who's supposed to be his mom or his wife. Things are not adding up. This is not how real life should be. And he's able to peel back the layers piece by piece until he faces his fears and goes to make his great escape. Maybe you can make an argument for Truman's journey in the boat through the storm, where he looks up and defies Kristoff or the storm or God or whatever in that moment. It's a rebirth of Truman. He is literally taking a rite of passage into a new world, but he would not have been there if he didn't see his pops. I think the one problem I could bring myself to think up was that this is all laid out a little too conveniently. Essentially, we come into the story on the 2 days where everything falls apart, where it had run pretty smoothly for nearly 11,000 days before. We have the light falling. We have Truman tapping into the radio, the dad showing up, the craft services table behind the elevator as the elevator door opens in a building Truman doesn't go to. And then the insane ad read by Meryl after Truman has had one of the weirdest days of his life. She goes into pure ad read mode. We need it, but don't you think they would have toned that down a little bit in the real story, in the real show, if they were trying to control that? So I think it's a little convenient, but for the film to play out, we need Truman to start catching on to things. I always connect to something new each time I watch The Truman Show, and it's rewatchable as all get out. So I give it 5 spools. I think everyone should watch it. It sets in this perfect place where it was sort of future looking as it came out, but watching it today, it does not feel dated at all. I think they call that timeless. And maybe it won't always be, but it's holding strong right now. So if you haven't revisited this movie in a while, I'd say watch it again or watch it for the first time. Well, that wraps it up for The Truman Show. Thank you so much for being here. If you'd like, check out the Patreon, where I have, for $3, you get everything from member shout-outs, helping me pick movies to watch, early access, ad-free content if we get to that point. But I just really appreciate you being here. And if you did enjoy hanging out, you can like and subscribe and hang out on the next one. So we'll see you then.